Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be looking at the fantasy variation of the Caro-Kann defense. In the fantasy variation, we can get a comfortable position against Caro-Kann defense with white pieces. So let us take a look at the game in which I played fantasy variation and just absolutely crushed my opponent who was playing Caro-Kann. I began with e4, he responded with c6, d4, d5, all normal stuff. Now I play the fantasy variation move, that is f3. He plays g6, playing the Caro-Kann like a modern defense where he will fianchetto his bishop. I develop my knight, he fianchettos his bishop, and I move my pawn forward to just block the view of the bishop. Now it's just tearing into two pawns, and its development is never possible. Here my opponent also plays a poor move. He also restricts the development of his other bishop by moving a pawn in front of it. Now this bishop can also never develop. I solidify the structure. He develops the knight. I develop my bishop. He develops his other knight. I develop my knight. He attacks the center with the pawn. I do not capture it, but defend it and also develop my bishop simultaneously. He captures the pawn. I retake with the knight. He castles. I move my queen up, preparing to castle. He moves his knight into the center, looking for my bishop. I also castle, leaving my bishop for taking. He captures it. I retake with the queen. He moves a6, looking for a pawn storm on the opposite side, as the castling is also opposite sides. I move my king to b1 so that a2 pawn is never weak. Now he starts his pawn storm, and so do I on the other side of the board. He moves his pawn forward. I bring back my knight, and now I also attack his pawn on g6 with my h pawn. He ignores it and tries to attack my queen, but this move only helps me because I anyway had to move my queen to d2 so that I could transfer it this way after moving the pieces. He moves the rook to the open file. I take the pawn, and here again was a great mistake by my opponent because he recaptured with a knight. Recapturing with the f pawn would have been better. I took the advantage of this and moved my g pawn into the attack. My opponent moved the queen, trying to create a threat on c2 square, but it was already defended. This c2 square was already defended by 1, 2 pieces, and third is the king. I move my knight because it would be necessary to control the movement of this h pawn of my opponent, and also it creates way for my queen to go to h2. He moves his queen to the c4 square. Here also it does not make much sense because even if he's trying to attack my knight, it is already defended by the bishop. So I carry on with my attack. Here the h7 pawn is weak, so he moves it forward, trying to defend it with the bishop. I attack the pawn. He ignores it, and here I take the pawn. And here was a big blunder for my opponent, as he blundered mate here by moving the bishop to h8, thinking he is protecting it, but instead he blundered mate. The sequence is h7 check. The king moves forward. Here queen to h6 is just mate and 1, but I found something better. That was checkmate by the knight. So I thought of doing it. Knight check. He retakes with the pawn, and now my other knight comes forward and checkmates the king. The king cannot go forward due to the pawn. It cannot capture the pawn as it is defended by the queen. It cannot come here as it is also covered by my pawn. And these two squares are covered by the knight. Hence the king is checkmated, being surrounded by its own pieces.